So I admit that I don't know. So this guy, we called me. He can identify. I was very intrigued, And he was actually, and years later, I actually saw his book. And the guy was brilliant, by the way. The guy's a brilliant guy. He's a very smart guy. He has very reasonable. His investigations are reasonable and interesting, and very intelligent, but certainly not conclusive, unfortunately. Next, I'm going to tell you a story. The Gemara Chulin teaches a very interesting thing. I'm sure you all know. In fact, it's the most common kitchen problem we have. What's the most common kitchen problem? When that even though usually it's a rule, if something's been absorbed into a utensil, after 24 hours, it goes bad. You understand? So even if you had it, so sometimes it will even put something carved on hot onto a meat plate, but the plate hasn't been used for 24 hours and it's clean. Nothing happens really. Essentially, nothing happens because the whatever taste was absorbed into the plate or into the utensil went bad after 24 hours. It's called not ben yomo. It's no longer within the first 24 hours. But there's a very strange anomaly. And what is that? That the combination of something that is sharp and the cut of a knife, it's called duchte the sakina, the pressure of the knife, and the rachar, something that's sharp, can reawaken an old taste. So unfortunately now, let's say I had a knife. We cut hot meat with a knife. So the knife is absorbed with meat flavor. Okay, the fat of the meat flavor. And theoretically, after 24 hours, okay, and certainly if it was cold, nothing would happen. If you slice something with it, nothing would happen. However, the rabbis teach us that if you would slice this knife that was even after 24 hours of use with the meat, 24 hours later, you would cut something sharp. That sharpness of the combination of the knife and the sharpness of the vegetable you're cutting are able to reawaken the freshness of the taste absorbed. And now fresh taste is exuded into the vegetable. So it's a very serious thing. And that's the most common kitchen problem we have, by the way. The worst problem always. They call up, she forgot. She cut onions with a fleishik knife and put them into the lasagna. She cut onions with a knife and put them into the chicken soup. It's the most common problem. You understand? So all of a sudden, the onion, which is we consider to be sharp, is absorbed with this stuff. However, listen to this. So the Gemara tells something interesting. So Gemara, the classic example of something that's sharp in the Gemara is called snon. I'm not translating on purpose. You'll see. Called snon. Okay. But there's another vegetable.
As a radish.
Most people,
I don't think that's.
Look, our radishes. Some of our radishes today, you notice here. I'm sure you've eaten radishes. Some are sharp and some are not.
Some are sharp.
Mm-hmm. And some are not. By the way, but okay. But today, almost everybody just takes known as radish. Okay, good. Now, listen. There's another vegetable in the Gemara called lephus. Lephus has almost like a magical property. When I learned about it when I was a kid, I was like, I was over the moon. Whatever lephus, the same knife that if you would cut the radish with would infect the radish with fleishiks, you understand? And if you put it into a lasagna, you're gonna have to, nullify it or whatever. If you would, before you cut the radish, you would cut, or the thing that's sharp, you would cut it with a lephus, with another vegetable. That lephus has like a magical quality, it kind of sweetens everything up. And then when you cut the sharp thing afterwards, it doesn't exude. Whoa, I love this. So I said, what is this lephus? So that's my first wife, may she rest in peace. She was a very, very, my present wife is very, very wise. I married two women smarter than me. It happens. I don't know about you guys. It happened to me. I married both smarter than me. Anyway, so my first wife, very wise. So I asked her, what's a lephus? She told me, lephus is what they sell in the market. It's white with purple. It's called the turnip. In Israel, it's called turnip. In English. So I said, really? Back and forth. And then I realized that I don't really know what the vegetables are. So I went to Rabbi Israel Fisher. I mentioned Rabbi Fisher on Shabbos, you remember. Fisher was really he was a giant of Torah. When I told you when Rabbi Aaron Cutler was considering living in Israel, he chose to live in America. He was considering in Israel. So he gave lectures. There was only one big yeshiva in Eretz Israel. Then it was called Eitz Chaim. So he gave lectures, and there was a young guy there on the firing line doing battle with him, Mamash at war with him, a young man. That was Rabbi Fisher. So I decided to go to Rabbi Fisher. So I run to Rabbi Fisher. I said, Rabbi Fisher, you got to hear this. He was a very funny guy also. I said, Rabbi Fisher, I said, what is snon and what is lephus? He says, snon is charif, snon is sharp, and lephus is not. I said, Rabbi Fisher, I know. I said, but what are they? He said, what are they? He says, Anila Yadea, Anila, Anila Yadea. I don't know. Anila Yadea. They say the leftist is the white thing with the purple in the shuk, he says. In the mark, he says, Anila Yadea. I don't know. He wouldn't. He said, I don't know. He did the same thing what I told you. Hey, do we really know? We know that what they call leftists. Who knows? So for sure, there's no doubt that there are things that everybody knows. Here, I don't think anybody disagrees. Everybody knows that the first Mara on the list that we do is romaine lettuce. Everybody knows it's romaine lettuce. That's the Mara. And certain things people know. Most people today, I don't think it's really debate. Most people do say radish, or at least some kind of radish. Anyway, was the original one. But there's so many problems. So here, when we come today to these medicines, I have no idea what almost everything is there. Most of the vegetables and the things on the list, I have no idea what they really are. Which species, I have no idea, and I really, So if people know, they know. They don't know. All I know is this. This I can tell you to be encouraging. So I read these pages. That's the truth. I try to understand the best I can to get whatever principle I can, but I have no idea. Just in all honesty, I have no idea what the real substances are. Also, though, but I want to tell you this to encourage you. So now that I made you feel bad, I'll make you feel good. The Gemara tells us that everything we learn in this world, the rabbis tell us, everything we learn in this world is just so we'll know the place in the world to come. So after 120 years, when you go there and they're learning, you'll know, where they are in the book. So all you're learning in this world, at least you'll know where they are. Forget about understanding. You know where they are on the page. You understand? So here I say, Baruch Hashem, we learn. One thing for sure, at least we did our job. We'll know where they are when after 20 years. We'll get there. We'll know where they're. We know where they're talking about on the page. Okay, this easy. But I can't do much more than that. We can explain the principles that are explained, but I can't do much about the actual.
Are they known anywhere?
Substances. My humble opinion, no. This fellow I told you is a genius. The guy, he really did. He's very, very exciting. I mean, you know how people used to talk, but they talk about the hair and the hyrax, the shop. He said, "Well, they're mistaken. It's two kinds of llama. It's a llama and another thing, an alpaca." He's incredible. He's just okay. What do I know? I never found. It's in my humble opinion. You need tremendous proofs. You see, same thing here today, for example. And I'm not. If you wear blue in your testis, I'm not knocking you or arguing, but yeah, the same thing. It's been a debate. It's a very hard problem. Once you lose a tradition, it's very hard to what's the word to reestablish. We don't have the tcheles. You understand? We don't know what the chilazon is. The creature that they made the tcheles from. We know certain qualities. The truth is that if you look in the Gemara, almost most things that people claim is tcheles just doesn't fit except in a very poetic. If you look at it very poetically. What they call tcheles today might fit the animal, the snail might fit the bill, and we had great rabbis in the past, who thought they had it. Now we know it's not correct. So same thing. It's hard we have to admit the truth sometimes. You understand? Sometimes we lost the tradition on certain things. We have to admit we don't have it. And the same thing. That's what I told you. Remember the other day. We're not going to be late. Don't worry. Don't worry. I just lower the tension here. Remember I told you. Maybe the other day we were discussing pronunciation. So when I opened the yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, so I wasn't that old, but I opened the yeshiva. So a much older man came to me, and he was a very learned guy, and he was a mamish, an expert in Hebrew pronunciation. He really knew a lot. He was a very, very learned person, and he begged me to adopt the Yemenite pronunciation and to teach it to the students and make them pronounce. Okay, there's plenty of support. Obviously they have more of a tradition than we have, because they, like I told you, because they differentiate letters that we don't differentiate. There's no question about it. You understand? There's lots of good points, but I didn't do it, and I told them I'm too little, and I don't have until such time as I actually can authoritatively say what's correct, until I can personally be responsible and say this is correct and not correct. I'm not changing anything that I know is legally right. I told you I never changed my accent. My accent is the accent that I learned from my parents, and that's it. You understand? And that's how I speak. And I know that legally I know it works, and I know I kept my tradition. That's all goodbye, Charlie. So I didn't. I never changed my accent. Well, my point is that My point is that what we know we know. We have to admit what we don't know we don't know. That's all. Sometimes that's the case. Unfortunately, and you're right. There's no question that our Hebrew suffers badly. We're badly mistaken in a lot of places. There's no question. There's no question about it. But legally, we're still davening. Thank God. Legally, our Kriyas Torah is a good Kriyas Torah. Legally, our chalitza is a good chalitza. It's okay. Legally, we're fine, and that's what we're interested in. I'm interested in fulfilling the Torah most of all. And I don't have to make believe that I know what I don't know. It's so interesting. I heard Rabbi Weiss, a very wonderful man. He was here in America. He's in Israel now. Rabbi Weiss. So he, when he was debating the Tchelis issue, he said, "Look, you're gonna have to wait a little longer." He said, "You have to wait a little longer. You know, it will come to redemption. You'll know. You'll have Tchelis again." It was very sweet the way he said, "You know, you're gonna have to wait a little bit." We have to also look. Our hands are full trying to be religious. You have a big job being a good Jew. We have to daven every day, and we have to learn. You have to keep kosher. You have to educate yourself, and we have a lot. You understand? So I would love to be expert in everything. It's clear that we're not. It's clear that we're not. Better to admit the truth and let's get back to work and do the things that we can do. And Hashem will protect us. You know, it also says a bunch of we're missing these things. And I'm sure you probably know. The pasuk says, "Shomer P'sayim Hashem." Hashem watches out for the dopes. What does that mean? If you follow the normal knowledge of your time, you're allowed to. You're allowed to. Yeah. Any given medicine or things like that. You're right. Every medicine, half the medicines can kill you. Who knows what? Who knows what they? You ever read the inserts on the medicines? They're frightening. They disclaim everything. It says, now listen, we're not telling you to take this. You want to take this? You take it on your own volition. Your head might fall off. Your arms might fall off. They don't. You might die. You might turn green. They don't want. They disclaim everything. The answer is, how do we take medicine? Because it says, Shomer P'sayim Hashem. Hashem watches dogs. As long as, and it says, because remember, Kavan did Doshu Be'Rabim, since people have already trodden that path. Look, the world decided, the medical science decided this is what's good. You're allowed to take it and you follow it, and Hashem will take care of you. And you did your job, you did your homework. That's what they say. You take it, what are you going to do? You think I think the medicine is healing me? You know, saying that's what God said. God said, you wrap me up. I can do my job. I do it. I pray to God and hope I get better. That's all. Yeah.
Listen, it's state in today's language, so seafood will see groove.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. I'm 100%. And I'll tell you one more thing, and I'm still not late. Often, in Eretz Israel, so everybody, in all the religious communities, people go, oh, this is us, or that's, this. Everybody in the world is machmer and everything. Maybe you could go nuts. But still, especially when we were kids, we hear the news. Oh, should we do this? Often, as we would run to my Rebbe, may rest in memory, he was a wonderful, incredible person. And he would say something that was devastating. You know what he'd say? He'd say, your religiosity is not on the level that this will make a difference. It was a little humbling. He said, you're not religious enough to, don't do this. He says, you're not religious enough for it to make a difference. He said, when you're a big boy, you can think about these things, when you're a big tzaddik. The point that it was a very humbling thing, but it was so truthful. He said, do your job, learn your Torah. That's why, for example, I almost never encourage a person to fast or things like that. The average person today can't fast. If you fast, a person enough we fast a day. A person takes one extra fast. He doesn't learn that day. He doesn't really daven. He doesn't learn. Well, good. That's good. That's fasting. Is it worth it? You're gonna fast. You're not gonna learn. You're not gonna daven. Half the mitzvahs. You're not. It's good. Now you're big tzaddik. You're fasting. What are you doing? What are you saying? You have to be honest and see. You have to be honest and see what's going to bring about the most Torah and mitzvahs. You understand? You're going to take on some kind of stringency. God bless you. I'm not against. There may be a reason, but if you're going to take it on to the detriment of your overall performance of mitzvahs, what are you doing? What do you gain? You understand? So, okay, anyway, so you understand. With that big disclaimer, now they may be a big disclaimer, so I'm going to read today's page the best I can.
What do you want to?
Whether I want to or not. Okay. So let's go to
Samaches on the base.
Yeah, Samaches on the base.
4 lines from the bottom.
Thank you. 4 lines from the bottom. The Dhamma Derecha, right? Blood in the head. Right? It's okay. Everybody sees it. Samaches, the Dhamma Derecha, blood in the head. So the Dhamma Derecha, when a person has an illness that comes from blood in the head, okay, blood in the head, Lacy Shavina, she should bring the tree that they call Erez, Uvina, the tree they call Arava. Those trees they know they call the cedar, they call the willow, the Asadara, that's the Hadas, moist Hadas, the Zesa olive, the Chilfa, that's what they call Tzafzafa, okay, the Chilfa Diamond, and also what they call cloves, the Yivla, also a type of grass that they call Yivla, okay, Vilish Lukinu, then you boil them up together. Lintel plus me a constant high consideration, you pour 300 glasses of this mixture on one side of the head, it cost me a high consideration, and pour 300 cups on the other side of the head. And that'll get a better velo. If that doesn't work, or if he doesn't have it available, to solve this problem, you get a white rose, the Hadar, where all the leaves grow one on the other, one top of the other on one side. Never saw one like that. Again, you cook it up. The lintel sheet and kase high consideration, okay. Then you pour 60 cups of the mixture on this side of the head, sheet and kase high consideration, 60 on the other side of the head. Okay, litzlichta. If a guy has a pain in half of his head, one half of the head hurts him. Okay, lacy targola boy. So you take the animal that I told you yesterday is called the duchifas in the Chumash. You take a very pure silver pure silver coin, a hugisa the kevle, and you use that coin to shech the animal. Okay, on the side of a pure on the side of the head that hurts him. And his darby made the load seminary, but be careful that the blood shouldn't get in and blind his eyes. Okay, then he should take this rooster that he shechted, the chicken that he shechted, pardon me, the seed for the bubble. You hang it up on the doorpost. So that when he goes in and out of the doorway, he bumps into it. Yeah. The barkune. The guy there's a membrane grows over the eye. It sounds like people call cataracts. I know that. Okay. Lysi akraba de shavkome. So you take a very old scorpion that it's already got shades of 7 different shades of color, and the apche betula, and you dry it out not in the sun. You dry it in the shade. V'nishlo tarti manasa kuchla. And what you do is you grind up two parts of eyeshadow, of blue eyeshadow. Okay, okay, and then one part of the ground up scorpion. And you put 3 brushfuls into the eye, and 3 brushfuls into the other eye. Okay,
why didn't the Rav show me this before I had my cataract surgery?
Because you did right to have the cataract surgery. Because I would have told you to have the cataract surgery. Yeah. That's why. Okay, but don't put any more than that. 3 brushes in one, 3 brushes in the other. That's it. Why? Because if you put more than that pakane, it's going to blind the eye. Okay, a person has blindness that happens at night. Nicely should your barka. So what you bring is a rope made out of animal hairs. Okay, out of animal hair. Okay, and he ties one of his legs to it and one leg of a dog to the other end. Then he has kids banging pottery behind him. And then he says this incantation. Asa kalba asa tanigole. He says, old one, dog, imbecile, chicken. Okay. Then he should collect from 7 different households. He should get a piece of meat from each one. And they should place it on it's really the whole. Their doors had a peg in it, and the top and the bottom. That it was like instead of hinges like we have, they had a peg at the bottom, peg at the top, and it would swing. It would go into the ceiling and to the floor. So that hole that where it pivots, where the door pivots, they stick it there. But they should deliver it there, and then they should eat it on the trash heap. Okay, and then after that, then what he should do is he should untie the hair rope from his leg, and he says this incantation. Now there's an argument whether both things that I'm about to read are incantation or one. I'm going to read them both as the same incantation. So the second one is not an instruction; it's an incantation. Other people learn that the second half is an instruction. In other words, so read the plenty by Planisa. This blindness of such and such a person, the son of this such and such a woman, leave this guy alone. And he continues to chant, and he says, "What?" He says, "Poke the eye, pierce the eye, the pupil of the dog, the pupil of the dog's eye." Other people say that the person himself is going to do that to the dog, but here those other people learn that this is 2 parts of the same. He doesn't really do anything. He's really singing incantation, to the blindness. Okay. The shavir diyama, when a guy is day blindness, okay, what does he do? He should bring 7 different spleens from 7 different animals, from inside 7 animals. Obviously, they shot you, okay. And then he should roast them on the coals, okay, that the bloodletter uses, okay. Pardon me. He should roast them on top of the pottery. It's disgusting that the bloodletter uses. It's a very disgusting. On this pottery that blood uses, you should roast them on there. Then he should be sitting inside the house. Then you have a guy who can see sitting outside. So the guy who's blind, who's inside, he should say to the guy who can see, here, give me some of those spleens to eat. And the seeing man who's outside should say, here, take these. He said, take them here, take this and eat. And then after the guy who has the illness eats it, then he should break that piece of pottery, the ilo hadriela, because if he doesn't break the pottery, then the blindness comes back. Okay, a guy has blood coming from his nose, he's got nosebleeds. You should find a coin named Levi. Sounds like a movie. A coin named Levi, or a novel. So find a coin named Levi. Okay, and write Levi backwards. In other words, write Yud Vav Lamed. Write Levi backwards. Okay, he should write Levi backwards. Vilo, if you can't get such a guy, Lacy Inishmael would just take any guy, okay, and write this following. This incantation. Right, Ana Papi Shila Bar Sumke, I am Papa Shila, the son of Sumke, but Lemafreya, write the whole thing back to front. Write it backwards. Vilo, and if that doesn't work, then you should write the following. Tam Bliba Mekesa, the taste of the bucket is in silver water. Tam Bliba Mepigam, the taste of the bucket is in adulterated water. Vila. Huh?
What's the source for all of these things?
They have traditions. You have to know something. I'm going to explain something that's very important. There's 2 points. One, I told you we have an oral tradition. Remember I mentioned I don't know if you hear that, Dave. I mentioned that we always had an oral tradition of the Sefer Refuas. We had a tradition. They knew how to cure everything. Later, Chizkiyahu Melech hid it because people stopped davening to Hashem, so he hid it, and the rabbis were very happy. So I told you, at least according to the Marshal. So so if we're not, how can we have refuahs in the Talmud when it was hidden? The answer is once they had to write down the oral law, you couldn't leave it missing. They had to write down the oral law, so they put it in, and yet they put it in a way that nobody can read it. They wrote it and they hid it at the same time. So it's all written here in a way. They have a long tradition on these things. Some things were but to be honest with you, and I can't tell which is which. Obviously, some of those things were from the original, tradition. Some things they knew. The rabbis knew the tremendous physical knowledge of the world. You'll see
they understood the tab of the world.
Yes, they understood tab a lot. They understood anatomy well. Remember, I told you Shlomo HaMelech, he knew every creature and its place in the hierarchy. They were very, very astute. Just their technology was not our technology, but they were very, Sumer, where was a good chance where all the Jews came from, by the way. Where they got the smartest people over there by the what's it called? That's what's that area there between the 2 rivers? What we call around the right over the 2 rivers in
Iraq.
In Iraq, yeah, everything came from there. They thought they have stones. Their geometry was out of this world. The trigonometry. They have like little. They made little machines. Like we use like calculators, such as they were tremendously accurate in trigonometry. Incredible. They were smart. And I'm saying, but that's where we came from. I always tease her, say they find all this ancient stuff, and that's where the Jews came from. Let's figure out where the state, where the source was. But my point, they knew a lot. That's all I'm trying to tell you. So first we had a tradition, and they knew a lot. Yeah.
But this follows yesterday. Shlomo Melech talking about the Shamir.
Yeah.
And that we're like buying one and not the other. We're accepting one idea.
No, we're not rejecting anything. We just have to admit that we don't know how to apply these things. That's all. We never tell a person, oh, look in the Gemara and do that cure. We have no idea, what the numbers are, what the quantities are, what the actual substance is, how much heat, how much it's too much. You have to we don't know, and the way I understand the Marshal, we weren't supposed to know, except a person who was extremely learned, certainly beyond yours truly's level, could maybe understand.
There's one ingredient. I saw the footnote in Art Scroll, and then according to Rashi, it's an herb.
He
Yeah,
didn't say what
tons
it
of them.
was.
Yeah, tons of them are herb. Rashi tells us a lot of it. It's a grass. It's an herb. We don't know what it is. Okay. So now, furthermore, okay. So that's the simple answer. Okay. So they had one. They had a tradition. Two, they knew a great deal from observation. They knew a very very great deal. Okay. So if that doesn't work, here's another thing to do for bloody nose. Like see, you cut the aspasta. Bing. Plus also a certain plant. You take the root, the ashla the puriatika, and take a rope from an old bed. They used to hold their mattresses up. They used to put ropes in it. They used to weave ropes in the frame and then put the mattress on top. So a rope from an old bed, the kurta saw, okay, and paper that was made out of rags, the mariki and karkum. Karkum is might be today what they call cilantro, I think. Kurkum, okay, but sumka the oliva, and also what and the red part of the palm frond, okay, v'niklinu b'adei. Then you burn them all together. Relaisa gava the imra. And then you bring balls of wool, okay. Benigdal tarti psilta. Then twist together 2 wicks, and then put it into vinegar. You got and then put it into this ashes that you made. And then put those wicks with the immersion into the nose. Below, if you can't do that, if that doesn't work, find a water canal, find an irrigation ditch, a water canal that flows from east to west. Then stand over it with 1 foot on one side and 1 foot on the other side. Then take mud in your right hand from under your left foot. Okay, and take mud from under the left foot with the left hand from under the right foot. Thank you. And then again, twist up 2 wicks of wool and put it into the mud. Okay, put that into the nostrils. That'll stop the bleeding. Below, if that doesn't work, he should sit under the water spout. Then people should come and they should pour water over him. And just like the water stopped, then the blood of such a person, the son of such a woman, should stop. Let's say blood's coming from the mouth. Now they know blood from the mouth is coming from 1 or 2 places. It's either coming from the lungs or from the liver. And so the Gemara says, but kinele, we give the chitas. You take a hollow piece of wheat, like a straw from wheat, a hollow straw of wheat, okay, and then you see if the blood sticks or not. Isar, if the blood sticks to it, we know that is lung blood, okay. It can be cured. But if it doesn't stick, then the blood is coming from the liver, and there's no way to cure it. So now, if you think about this for a second, it sounds like what's a worse disease? From the blood of the liver, blood of the lung? It sounds like blood of the liver is worse than blood of the lung, but we're going to see in a minute when it comes to traphus. Traphus are all the indications in an animal that it can't live out the year. So we're going to see the opposite. We're going to see that a liver is much less serious than the lung, the opposite of what you just learned. Here, what are you talking about? So then we learned the opposite. Then we learned the opposite. When it came to deciding that the animal can't live, if the whole liver was taken out, there's no liver left in the animal. Okay, or alternatively, if the lung was punctured or missing any part, so that's called a traphus. So you see that the liver, if it's punctured or missing a part, is not even called a traphus. You see that the liver is less severe than the lung. Why do we decide now that blood from the liver is more severe than blood from the lung? Amalese said no. He says, I'll tell you what. Came to me pumikate. Once blood is coming from the mouth, he says, and it's liver blood. If you find liver blood in the mouth, then the liver has disappeared. You're right. In theory, the liver is less severe than the lung. But a liver that's disappeared is equal to a lung that's partially hurt. But if we find blood in the mouth, the whole liver has disappeared. So really, the liver is less. But in this case, it's the worst case of the liver than a better case of the lung. You just told me that if the blood comes from the lung, that you can fix it. How do you fix it? What's the cure? What you bring is 7 fistfuls of
Sliced beets.
Sliced beets. Beets, they say, yeah. Beets, they say. The shiva kudim the karti, and also what? And 7 fistfuls of karti, which they're called cress or whatever. I don't know what it is really. Yeah. The chamishi kudim preda also 5 fistfuls of a certain grass called preda. Utlasa kudim the talpre, and you take 3 fistfuls of lentils. Okay. The kudim the kamona and a fistful of kamun. They call cumin. and a fistful also what of ropes, and then take an equal measure of all those things. You take an equal measure of all those things of intestinal fat. You should cook it up and then eat it. Okay, you then have to drink strong beer that comes from Tavis in the wintertime. Okay, if a person has an illness of the back teeth, he says, bring a garlic head with only one clove, and then grind it up into oil and salt. And he should put it onto the fingernail of the thumb, okay, that is on the side that is hurting him, the side of the teeth that's hurting him. And that garlic he should surround with a ring of dough. When he's dar lebisrei the kashi lechivra, but he should be careful that for his flesh, okay, that the garlic shouldn't touch his flesh because it can bring him leprosy. The chinche, okay, let's say guy has now I want to explain this is kind of like pimples or growth in the throat. So the overall cure is done in stages. How do they cure it? First, it has to fill up with pus. Then they have to burst, and the pus has to come out. So you want to get them to fill up, then to burst, and then to heal the skin after they burst. So there's 3 stages of this cure: get them to fill and burst, to get the pus fill them up and burst, bust them, and then new skin. Okay, so he says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So for these pimples in the throat, Chum say, okay, what you do is you bring this grass that's hot. Okay, Kimimku, he says. So when it's coming that Chum say this hot grass is just as good as the grass that's called mamru. Okay, because the chumse and the root of chumse, okay, the root of that chumse is even better than mamru. Okay, but whatever it is, veninko bipum, he should put that, he should hold that in his mouth. Okay, and then it says honey, okay, honey, and these grasses that we said, leukme, that'll be good at least to stop the illness from progressing, but it won't get rid of it. Levashul, okay. However, levashule, if you want to now ripen those pimples, so they're going to fill up with the pus, so they're going to be able to burst. Lysi paraduration, okay, you bring the bran that goes to the top of the sifter. It's so big, this is the bran that stays on the top. And then you take lentils with the dust that sticks to the dirt that sticks to them when you pull them up. Okay, and you take also, I think that with tilton, it's called tilton. Okay, okay, and you also take the flour of kishus, and you take a nut's worth of this mixture into his mouth. That'll get him, and that'll get him better. Now, when you want the pimples to burst, and now they're filled up. So what he do is his friend should take a straw and he should put shichlayim, okay, this vegetable into the white shichlayim into this straw, okay. And you should put the straw into the sick person's mouth and then blow into the other side of the straw, and they'll hit those pimples and cause them to burst. Lasuke, now, when you want to once you burst them and you want to get fresh healed skin, right? Let's say mitula de besaki. So you take dirt from under but these in their bathroom, you just put a bunch of stones for people to sit on. It's hard to go to the bathroom, sit on the ground, so you put a bunch of stones, make a seat, for people to sit and go to the bathroom. So you take dirt that is under the shadow of those bathroom stones, okay? You mix it up with honey. You should eat it. Okay? And that'll help the person to heal. Let's say a person has an illness, Rashi says, that goes to the head through the nose. Keep secret. You should take it's something that grows on the tree. Okay, you should take the size of that size, the nishdot. He should from the herb that's called nishdar. Okay, and should take the size of a nut from sweet chelbana. Okay, and also you should take a spoonful of white honey. And a natla is a natla. They used to wash your hands. It held like to wash your hands like we do. So natla held revius like the tilat shadayim. Natla it held the revius. Okay, that they use mechuzah. He says that amount of chamer nakidi. Take that amount of non-red clear good wine. Then cook all these together. And when the nishtar, when this herb is ready cooked, since that's the one that takes longest, then when that's ready, everything is ready. Below, but you can't if that doesn't work. I see rest of the chavod. Then what you do is you take a revius worth of milk from a white goat, okay, and that you should sprinkle that milk on 3 sections of cabbage, okay, in a container. Okay, and then you should mix up the milk and the cabbage with a piece of wood like a stick, okay, which is called marmin, like a splinter of marmin. And when you cook it all together on that little splinter, when that splinter of that tree is cooked, everything's cooked. That takes the longest. Below, if that doesn't work, okay, he's gonna eat it, obviously. If that doesn't work, then what we should do is you should take excrement from a white dog, and you mix it with the herb called sorry, okay, and you should eat it. But as much as you can, okay, you should try always to use a different medicine than this. You should try never to eat excrement. Why? Because it really messes up the body. It destroys the body. The gira, okay, the person has chest illness. And I see gira delota. Gira delota was when it would hail, there would be stones that would come down that would have like like an arrow. It would be like sharp on one side, and on the other side you could hold it. It would come down with the hail. Okay, the nafche, you should turn it down. We should turn the point of this stone down. Then pour water over it. And drink that water. Below, if that doesn't work, they should get water that a dog drank from at night. Okay, and he should drink that water. And he's died. We should be careful not to take any water that could have been infected by giloy, by snakes. You have to find water that was not left open where there could have been snakes. The giluya, let's say a person drank water that was infected by snakes, and that was left open. So what should you do? I'm talking the chamra chaya. He should drink a revius worth of undiluted wine. Lemursa, if a person has pussy sores, I'm talking the chamra. He should have a revius of wine, ba'ala talona, okay, with the juice of a grass called oil, which is red like the red worm. Lepircha deliba, when a person has a weak heart, okay, lysi tlas bushai desari, he should bring 3 breads of barley. Okay, 3 challahs of barley, and he should stick it. Remember kutach? What they kutach was like their milky, like sour milk kind of thing, yeah, with the bread. So you should stick it into kutach that's not 40 days old. He should eat that, and afterwards he should drink very diluted wine. Really said that's a mistake. He says, you understand? Those things make a person faint. This person's weak, and you're giving him things that weaken a person more. He says, Amarle says, no, he says, you're right. He says, you could leave him. He says, right, I really meant the opposite way. When a person's heart is too heavy, not when he's faint, when the heart is too heavy, the opposite is not faint. Okay, that's what that cure was for. And you're right, so the the correct remedy for a faint heart, I say plus also you should bring three challahs of wheat, and he should soak them in honey, and after that, and they should drink the opposite way. Should drink undiluted wine, very strong wine, and it'll get them better. The tzachadli, but a person has a pain in the heart. They say kutla ben in India. He should bring mint, okay, the size of 3 eggs, a viyasa the kamona, and also an egg size worth of cumin, okay, a viyasa the shumshimi, and an egg's worth of sesame. You should eat all that. That'll get him better. The cave may person has intestinal pain. Okay, let's see. He should bring 300 long peppers. And every day he should eat 100 of them in wine. Okay, he made for his daughter. He says the Ravashi, for the daughter of Ravashi, may have done. He only took 150 of ours because ours are even longer than theirs. And she got better. You didn't need so much because his peppers were much longer. The chirtza, okay, the person has intestinal worms. Drink a revius of wine, okay, with the leaves of the tree called aro. Okay, the kirtza chivra, if a person has white intestinal worms, they say bizo gilgila, he should bring the seed that's called the aruga. When it's tired with shistog, okay, and he should tie it up in a cloth, okay, that's made out of cotton, and then he should soak it in that, in the cloth, in the water. And then he should drink the water. He should be careful that he shouldn't swallow the actual seeds. If he's not careful, those seeds can puncture his intestines. He should only eat the water. The mesa. Okay, now if you want to stop diarrhea, see some vetiba b'maya. So what is you take again, not as like really what we call mint. Okay, you should take fresh, moist mint in water. The mishra, the other way to cause diarrhea, the person wants to go to the bathroom, then you take dry nana in water. And how do you what's the way to memorize it to remember which one's good for wet and which one's good for dry? So each of the tiva the sochanar, we say what the grass called itza, when it's wet, that blocks up the river. So the same thing, but you always know that this vegetable, when it's wet, that's what blocks the diarrhea, and when it's dry, that's what causes diarrhea. The tachlam, let's say a person has a swollen spleen. Lysi shav beni demaya, get seven water leeches. Now, this is a very interesting problem. This medicine is the person going to eat leeches. The leeches are shorter than kosher. So it's a very interesting point. So one opinion is that this Gemara is only talking about a chola sheyesh bo sakara. It's a person who's he's in danger of losing his life. Person who's in danger of losing his life can eat trafing, and then no problem. But other opinions, and this is some other time we'll have classes about it. This is a lot of our modern arguments about medicine, and that is when a person eats something not normally, as they don't care for medicine, you don't usually eat things by swallowing them whole. So, for example, some medicines which we know for sure are not kosher, but people don't chew them, etc. They put it in water, they swallow it down. So there's room from this Gemara. Some people want to learn that once you're just swallowing it down and you're not chewing it up, eating it, the whole prohibition's out. This is a famous argument until today. We're all by Yom Kippur and in general by Kashrus and by Pesach. So it'll come up. But remember this Gemara, because this is one of the sources that they used to fight out this point. Was this Gemara only speaking about a person who was in danger of losing their life? It's not a problem they could eat chazer. It's not a problem they could eat anything. Or is it talking about even a person who's not in danger of losing their life, and it's still permissible to do this medicine because there's, like, for example, they're not eating it normally, they're swallowing it whole. It's not an issue. Okay, so remember this Gemara. It'll come up in other times. Okay, but what's interesting, so even if we don't know what the heck these things are, we do know we can still learn principles from here. That's for sure. Okay. Now, so you take these water leeches, and you dry them not in the sun but in the shade. Every day he should drink 2-3 v'chamra. He should drink 2 or 3 in wine. If that doesn't work, he should bring the spleen of a goat that never gave birth, and you dry it out in the oven. Okay, and then you should stand opposite that spleen. The name, and you should say, just like this spleen dried out. So the spleen, the sick spleen of such and such a person, son of such and such a woman, should dry out. Below, if that doesn't work, let's say if you don't have an oven to do it with, then just go to a new house and stick it between the bricks, let it dry up in the cracks between the bricks, it'll dry up there. And the same thing, and then make the same incantation that we said before. If that doesn't work, what do? Now, you have to go out, do research, and find a corpse that died on Shabbos. Go out, do a little homework till you find a corpse that died on Shabbos. And it should take the hand of the dead man, and he should put it on his spleen. They take the hand of the dead man, put it on his spleen. The name say the same way. If this hand dried up, the spleen of such and such a person dry up. Yeah. If that doesn't work, they say you bring a fish, and what you do is you broil it on the coals of that are used by the blacksmith's coals. And you drink it in the water. The blacksmith takes the red hot thing out of the fire, sticks it in the water. Drink it in the water that he cools off the metal in. Okay, so eat the fish in that water. And he should drink, the water of the from the blacksmith, right? To show you how blacksmith water is so effective in shrinking spleens. We're going to see a spleen that disappeared entirely. What is that? There was a certain goat that was always going and drinking from the blacksmith's water. When they shechted it, they found no spleen whatsoever. The spleen had disappeared completely. Velo, if that doesn't work, liftach chavita the chamra lishmei. He should get his own dedicated wine. No, it's simply here. Wine cures spleen problems, and they don't happen. And we're going to see in 1 second. What? Just drink wine. Wine solves all spleen problems.
Does it cure it, or
It even stops it from coming. You're going to see. No, it stops it from coming. No, it stops it from even coming. You're going to see. He says, "Will you stop it? That's not what kind of cure you're doing. Anybody who's wealthy enough to have wine doesn't have spleen problems. They never come and ask. If a guy's asking because he doesn't have the money to buy wine, so you can't tell him the cure of wine because he can't afford it. The whole reason he has a spleen problem because he was too poor to buy wine to start with. Anybody who regularly drank wine was not having spleen problems. If he's ready coming to ask for a cure, don't tell him to go buy wine. The only reason why he has the spleen problem because he has no wine. So you have to give him a different cure. Right. And therefore what? Ella, but rather what's up? A guy's already got the problem, he can't afford wine. So what do you tell him? Make sure that he eats bread for breakfast because that helps the entire body. Okay. The Rishchosa, person has hemorrhoids. What he should do, he should bring a certain grass called a kika. The ilva, okay, and another grass that's bitter. The ispircha, okay, and raw silver, umirtacha, and the dregs. When you refine the silver, the dregs fall to the bottom, and the dregs of silver. The chomot pilon, and he should bring a small utensil that's made of silver or gold. Okay, that usually the women wear on the neck. They usually put spice in and wear it around the neck. Okay, and you should bring the excrement of doves, or some people say chicken. And in the summertime, you wrap it up in flax, which is cold. Okay, the amar gufna besitva. Okay, or you put it into cotton. Okay, if it is the winter time, okay, because they're hot, right? They're hot, okay, and you put it on the place where the illness is below. If you can't do that, least if not, just drink strong. Pardon me, the other way. Drink beer that is diluted with water. The shigrona, okay, when a person has an illness of the thighs and the hips, they pass the mune. He should bring a utensil full of fish brine. And he should roll it 60 times on the thigh, just up where the hip is. And 60 times on the other side. Okay, and it'll get better. It's mirta. If a guy has a fever, no, but smirta means a stone. He's got a stone that's stopping him from urinating. They say like a kidney stone. He's got a stone in the urinary tract that's stopping. He got minerals in the urinary tract that are stopping him from urinating. He should bring 3 drops of the refuse of pitch, okay, which we call itron. 3 drops that were squeezed out of creation, and 3 drops of wine that is pure and clear. And the man should put it inside of his aver. The woman puts it in her private parts. If not, just bring the ear, the handle of a wine container. The man should hang it on his aver. The woman should hang it on her breast. Below, if that doesn't work, Lacey Chutra, the Zarisa, the Shadi said, Duma Bas Duma. You have to find a woman who's got a bad reputation, who's the daughter of a bad reputation, who spun a red thread, and take that red thread, and then hang it on the man's aver, or hang it on the woman's breast. Below, if not that, Lacey beat the bring a louse that was on a man and a louse that was on a woman. And put it into the man's aver. The woman put it to her private place. And then when the person urinates, he should urinate on a dry bush that's in the hole again where the door pivots. Okay, and be careful. Look and find that stone. The stone, you want to keep that stone when it comes out. Why? Because it's very good to stop fevers. It'll help any kind of fever. The stone itself, if you crush that up and use it, the stone that came out will cure fevers. The tzimmer bra, if a person has an external fever, he should bring 3 saws of date seeds, with lots of adar, and 3 saws of the leaves of a tree that's called adar. We should cook them up, each one in a separate pot. And you should sit between the 2 pots. And then and you should put them into 2 troughs. And then bring a table and put it on top of the 2 troughs. Okay. He puts the 2 troughs on the table, according to this opinion. The other way. Okay, should get up from this one and put up and sit over this one. And sit over, get up from this one, and sit on this one. Until a mist, okay, and a sweat comes up from them, okay, until it goes into him, till that heat goes into him. The last thing okay, and then he should wash himself off with the water that they were cooked. And when he drinks, okay, he should drink from the water of the tree called Adar. He should drink. But he shouldn't drink from the water that they cook the date season. We shouldn't because they make a person sterile. The tzimmer gavna, if a person has an internal fever, shiva bunad the sukkah, okay, bishav mishari, he should bring 7 handfuls of beets from 7 different rows. And he should take them, cook them. He should cook them together with the dirt that comes out with them, and he should eat it. And he should drink beer with the leaves of a tree called adar. Or alternatively, what he should do is in Veitala, okay, he should eat grapes from a grapevine that were hung on a date palm b'mayim together with water. And we'll continue tomorrow. Thanks for your patience. So nothing to do. Nothing to do.
Now we know what to do for anything.
Go to the doctor.
I need to ask you.
Go to the doctor. I want you to know, I was in Eretz Yisrael years ago. When we opened the yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, there was a wonderful guy, became very ill. And I told you, Jerusalem attracts all these kind of people, and they're giving the guy garlic and all kinds of things. And I screamed at them, "You're gonna kill the guy!" So I screamed until they took him to the hospital.
Thank you.
I yelled at them until I took him to the hospital.
Hey, Carol.
You can't do that.
There we go. I'm still left. Still shit.
That's nice.
Sent to work.
We're not late. Thank you.
Yeah, God bless you. Wonderful day.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
But don't try any of these at home.
One day, Hashem will